Good morning, my friends. Boy, it has been a busy month and we've had a lot going on. So I'm going to try to get the groceries put away. We're going to talk a little bit about the groceries. We're going to talk about some other things. I had the pleasure of spending time with family over the past week or so, and in fact 2 weeks exactly. And when I came back, I realized I had some serious holes that I needed to make sure I had taken care of. You know, I had groceries, I had things that I needed. I was out of our bananas. You know, we need bananas. And I'll tell you why bananas are really important to me right now. And there's some other things that hopefully are in this order, because most of the time I do my orders, I have them delivered. So let's see if we can get everything out and I'll know exactly what we've got. I know I had a few substitutions, so I've got my eggs. Make sure that they're in good condition. So if I have to take them back or they have to come back and get them, then we can do that. And I needed to get breakfast food ready for the big guy. And you know, it's getting close to that strawberry season. And I've got strawberries here. Love strawberries. Got a notebook here, glass case here. My place is a mess. You know, it is what it is. This is a real working kitchen. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. I also picked up some more of those jumbo biscuits because I know that I'm going to be moving around quite a bit this week. And I had a lot to do. So I needed orange juice. I needed some tomato juice. So you can just unpack with me as we get all of this done. Oh, good. I was able to get a large package of blueberries, and we're going to talk about the fruits in just a moment. See, I got carrots, I got some peppers. Good. All those things, because you know, I noticed that when I was setting up the order, that there were some things that I wasn't able to get, not in the quantity that I wanted. So I had to make some adjustments. And even then, some of the adjustments were made by my shopper. So, you know, the big guy loves his tomato juice, so I had to make sure we had that. And we needed some celery this week. So I'm trying to stay within budget, but also make sure that we have everything that we need. So we've got that done. Now, what is this? This is magnesium. Magnesium is very good for us. And this is zinc. Now, I'm not sure why I have those two on my cart. I probably had a reason for putting them in there. And hopefully they're mine, not someone else's. Because every now and then, you'll start to unpack your order only to realize that you have a couple of things that belong to someone else. So, there we go. Got the cranberry juice. Got more biscuits. And I'm just not going to have time this week to make biscuits. So we're going to take the shortcut. I've got almond milk. And let's see what else. I'll make sure I have it all. And I've got some, hopefully these are the blackberries. I needed lots of berries. Blackberry, strawberry, blueberry. I'm not a fan of raspberry, so I didn't get any of those. But while we were out of town, I had a chance to try some wonderful smoothies. And I'm going to try to recreate a couple of those smoothies that I was pretty consistent with purchasing. So that's, I had all of that in my, I made pictures of it on the phone so I wouldn't lose the recipe. We need lemon and more onions. You know, onions are something we always have to have. And I had taken most of those when I went to visit my son. I actually took those with me because I didn't want them to go bad. Now, they did not have my, Stony Brook yogurt, so I ended up getting Better Goods, which is supposed to be very, very good. So I've got that there. Got a few more bags. Okay. Okay, cucumbers. And I think the rest of this is probably, oh, here's my chicken. I needed some chicken, a couple of chicken breasts. And you know what I do with those. I slice those in half. And in order to make enough, I needed some green onions. So we'll take care of those in just a moment. And I love, sorry guys, I know about iceberg, but that's the lettuce I grew up with, and that's what I like. And I need a couple knobs of ginger. So we've got ginger here, and that's for the smoothie. All right, well, it looks like everything I requested is here. So we've got our juices. We have our orange juice, has to be refrigerated. I've got the cranberry, and I like cranberry pomegranate. And just gives it extra flavor. We've got our almond milk, as well as orange juice, celery. These are all the things I needed. But other than that, chicken breast was the only thing that was missing that I needed more of. Lettuce, ginger, that's going to be a part of the smoothie. And our spring onions, this one's having a little bit of an issue. So I'm going to chop just a little bit of him off. There we go. Had a couple of bad tops to it. I'm going to give him a little haircut. Okay. And then I'm going to stick it in a little bit of a jar with some cool water. Okay. So they're going to stay right there. So I got those ready to go. So this has been a really busy morning because I actually came back. I ran the floors, mopped the floors, made sure they were nice and clean, got the kitchen back in order. And so, whew, what a morning. Now, I still have some errands that I need to run. I need some water. You may not remember, but a couple of weeks ago, we put together a fajita seasoning, and I also seasoned up the chicken, but I didn't get to actually cook it, so I had to put that away. And so what I've done is that I've pulled out the chicken, and we're going to cook that first this week because of the fact that, number one, it's already seasoned. It's going to be easy to do. I had a lot of errands, and you know, when life gets to lifing, you have to have some backup in your freezer, and that's exactly what we're doing. So let's get ready for the skillet. I've got some oil that I've placed into the skillet, and we're going to fry up these little fajita pieces. We're going to have a quick and easy dinner. Good flavor. And I may have to add just a little more oil to it. And that's okay if I do. Because I need for this chicken to cook. Kind of lay them out flat. See how nice and toasty they're going to get? Oh, they're going to be pretty. And we want our fajitas to be nice and meaty. I've got some rice that's going to go in a part of that. I'm not making a bowl, but I'm going to put a little bit of rice on the fajita. That's going to be a part of our bulk builder because we want these to be very filling. The center of my skillet is hot, so anything that's new entering the skillet needs to be in the center. Now I have another pan over here that I'll just put the cooked pieces over in this skillet, and then we'll put the vegetables in and get those ready. A minute. Flip one more time. And I don't want it dried out, but I do want it cooked. You do not ever want to eat raw chicken. Never, never. If you're not sure, cut it. And make sure that there is absolutely no pink in the center. This is our newest one, so that's the reason why I'm being very careful with that piece. Now these I know are done. Together. Now you know it's got lots of seasoning in there. So I'm going to add just a tiny bit more of our bacon grease, just a little, because we're going to need just a tiny bit more for the veggies. I'm going to kind of open up some space. Let these little pieces finish up on the side. And in the center, we're going to go ahead and start the vegetables. I'm going to start with onions first. Put a huge handful of onions in the center. Okay. I'm going to sprinkle them with a tiny bit of salt, just a little, and give them just a little bit of pepper because they're not seasoned either. Take out the chicken as it's ready. Keep the vegetables moving. We do not want those to overcook. We want them to have good texture. Alright, we got onions. Let's add some peppers in. If you pick up a few onions, it's okay. Got lots of color. I may add just a few more onions, just a little more, because the big guy likes onions. Okay, just a little. Alright, I've got enough onions and peppers left to actually probably use them in something the rest of the week. That one that jumped ship, we'll bring them back. Come back. And I add just a tiny bit more salt to our mixture, because the peppers did not have any salt. A little bit of pepper. Now, can you see over there our strawberry cake that we made earlier in the day? It's ready to go. It's been iced. And I'll just slice it up, put it in the refrigerator for lunches or for dessert. And you know, actually it'd be delicious with some fresh strawberries and whipped cream. Oh yeah, that would be a great shortcake. I'm going to put our chicken back in. Just like that right there, have a little bit of juice. And clean that up so that everything is nice and hot. Okay, give those veggies a chance to finish up their cooking. Now let's fix our fajita. Remember, I had a little bit of rice left. I'm going to actually put that in the bottom. And it's nice and warm. I'm going to add my chicken. Big guy likes protein, and that's good. Along with lots of veggies. Now this one came along. He wasn't supposed to be in there. Okay, so that's one. Now the rice is just there to kind of give it a base. Just a little bit of a base. Now I have guacamole, and I think I might put a little bit of guacamole in there. I'm going to start this one with some veggies. Okay, and then add the chicken. Can't say he didn't have enough. He's got plenty in his fajita. Okay, two. Now, I've got some limes. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of lime juice over it. For each of them to give it that freshness, fresh citrusy taste. And I got the guacamole. And no, today I didn't make it from scratch. I have been known to do that, but not today. You know, sometimes you have a lot of time to play around with all of the ingredients, and sometimes you don't. So when you don't, it's okay. So I actually picked up some of my favorites, and if you like guacamole, then that's certainly something that you can add to your fajitas. I'm going to spread a little bit in there. That's going to be so good. And I'm also going to add some chunky salsa. Yummy, yummy. Right there on top of the guacamole, so it won't soften up that tortilla too bad. Okay, well, what do you think? Dinner looks good. Here are our chicken fajitas. This morning, I decided that I would put together some biscuits for the big guy so that he would have them throughout the week. So what I did was to prepare the biscuits. And this week, instead of having sausage, we're going to have bacon. And I've saved my bacon fat because we'll use that throughout the week or even throughout the month. And also, I prepared the eggs a little bit different. Instead of just scrambling them on the stove, I decided that to save a little bit of time, that I would put them into the oven on a sheet pan and let them cook in the oven. So you'll get to see what that looks like, and I'll let you know what they taste like after doing that. But I think it's going to work out just perfectly. Preparing the eggs in the on the sheet pan was a great way to prepare a mass amount of eggs, and you can certainly decide how well done you want your eggs. Now the big guy likes his eggs pretty solid, so that's the reason why I cooked them the way that I did. If you wanted yours just a tad bit looser, then just take them out of the oven a little bit sooner, but just keep an eye on them. I cooked about a dozen eggs, and I actually had enough left over to be able to use at another time. And what I did was to bag them, put them into the freezer, and you'll see later in the week where I pull some of them out, some of those squares out, and I use them in another dish. Now, I had a little bit of egg left, so I placed it into a Ziploc bag that I'm going to place in the refrigerator. And what I'll do with it is to use these leftover eggs in another dish. And you know, the perfect thing for this would be a stir fry, to take some of these eggs and chop them up, put them into a stir fry already prepared. So that part's ready. You can see our bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits are ready. So I'm going to get some onto a smaller plate for the big guy so he can have one for breakfast. And then I'll package the rest so that during the week he can just pop one out and he'll be ready for breakfast and I don't have to stop. Keep this in mind when you're trying to select a protein for your particular dinner plan. This week, I'm kind of focused on chicken, but I had some other little pieces of protein that I found in the freezer that needed to be used. So I took them out. I had a piece of this is a Hillshire Farm turkey smoked sausage that I had chopped up into a couple of pieces. I'm going to use some of this, as well as, you know, that fajita chicken that we had put together earlier in the week. I still had a few pieces of that chicken. So I'm not going to use all of it, but I'm going to take some of the chicken from the fajita mix and I'm going to put it with some of the Hillshire Farm sausage, and together we're going to make a delicious, delicious fried rice. I also had a small package of frozen rice, but it wasn't enough for what we were going to do because after all, rice is the bulk builder. So I'm going to put a little bit of rice into my microwave and I'm going to cook rice for today as well as enough rice for another day. Now is the time to make sure that you're looking at where your spending is. You know, are you spending it on things that you know your family's going to be able to use and then you're using them? Or are you still in the mode that you were prior to all of this taking place, where you just kind of buy whatever you want and when? Now, I recognize the fact that we have people who, like our DoorDash drivers, our Instacart drivers, and I recognize the fact that they are trying to make money as well. They're trying to survive just like we are. And so I'm not really trying to knock them out of their money, but I'm saying look at your budget and see what's best for you. I'm going to place my proteins in the cast iron. So I'm going to start with both the chicken and the sausage. So there's our sausage. I put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom because neither the turkey or the chicken have a lot of oil to them. So we're just going to put those in. And we're going to let those cook. And turn that down just a little bit. Sausage itself has a little bit of seasoning, but I'm going to add just a tad bit of black pepper. I'm going to put in some of our no salt Mrs. Dash mix because we want this to be well seasoned. I want everything in that pan to be nice and seasoned because when we add the rice, you know, the rice is going to be a little bland. So our oils that are in there are going to be seasoned as well. So we're going to give this time to cook. Then I'll add some garlic, just a little. Now remember, this is my fried rice, not necessarily what we would have if we were going to a Chinese restaurant, but we will have some of those flavors. I'm using my spoon and I'm just kind of going across the bottom of the pan because I want to pull up any little bits that have stuck at the bottom. I can see where my meat is starting to get nice and brown. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pull the meat off to the sides, and we're going to add the onion and carrots because this was a fresh carrot that I had, and it was a lone carrot. that we're going to add to our skillet. I'm going to put that in the middle. And since we have all those good seasonings already in there, that's going to season up very nicely. Now, you'll notice the nice skillet is about a 12 to 13 inch skillet, and it's just big enough for the big guy and I. If I had a larger crowd, then obviously I would need to add much more. Now, I'm going to put in a little bit of minced garlic, just a little. As you know, garlic has a tendency to burn, just a teaspoon, to add that flavor. Oh, it smells wonderful. Now while that's cooking, I'm also going to add, I have a 10-ounce package of mixed vegetables that I'm going to open and place in as well. Put those in the center. Now, what type of vegetables you opt to put in yours is up to you. But I want those to cook for a little while, especially those green beans, because sometimes they can still hold that frozen flavor, and that's the part that I don't always like. So we're going to let this sizzle here for a while before we get ready to add the rice in. I'm going to add a little bit of soy, and I may add a little more along the way. So there's our soy, about a 1/4 cup. I'm going to add a little bit of sesame oil. I'm going to give it a cap full for now. The sesame oil is a little bit strong. But it smells so good. I'm going to let this continue to cook. Now I'm going to add our packet of frozen rice that I had. And then if we need more, I can always pull more from what I have in the microwave. I'm not sure how far this one's going to go. So that's why I went ahead and cooked some more. Because really your rice doesn't go bad. That's going to be, and I can look at this and tell we might make it, but we need some egg. And remember, we made eggs this morning in the oven. Now here's our little packet of eggs, and you know I have broken it into like little squares like this, already cooked. So I'm just going to take it and break it and drop it into our mixture. I'm just going to take one. I think one will be more than enough. If you think you need more, then you can certainly do that. Or if you don't have any eggs that are already cooked, then you can certainly drop in a raw egg and then just make sure that it's cooked while you're preparing your mix. And you want to make sure our rice gets down in there with those juices. It's going to soak up those juices that are in the bottom. I'm going to add just a tad bit of broth because I want it to fry, but I don't want it to be too terribly dry. Oh yeah, we have more than enough rice. So let me add just a little bit more broth. Just a splash.
Now you know that Ms Denise and I changed our wording. We no longer use the word leftovers. We use planned overs because they're not just little leftovers that are in our refrigerator or in our freezer. They are parts and items that we can use in a recipe. So we've made this fried rice with lots of little planned over items that were sitting in the pantry.
Before we close today, let me just say that we're dealing with an awful lot of things right now. We're dealing with the instability as far as our gas prices are concerned. We're dealing with instability as far as our grocery prices are concerned. And I thought I would just kind of close out with saying that this is not the time to panic. This is the time to make intentional decisions about what you're going to prepare in your kitchen. Now, I hope you've enjoyed being in the kitchen with me this week, and I've certainly had a great time. And I hope that before you leave, if you're not already a member of the community, that you will certainly take the opportunity to subscribe and to follow us. Follow me often, because of the fact that we are working through getting delicious meals on the table at a reasonable price so that we can stay within our budgets and provide nutritious meals for our family, and that we're happy and comfortable in our home. Keep this in mind. You know, we're thinking like Modern Home Economists. So because of that, we make good decisions. We don't drift, we decide. I'll see you soon.